Church, in so many words, Chris Brown told Kelvin McCall, I know you broke, but whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-damn-do. Now, for all of y'all that had lives and couldn't keep up, Kelvin McCall went viral for going on the Back on Fig podcast, boo-hoo crying, claiming that he's broke, he's been reduced to using an EBT
card. I got an EBT card, and this is at Breezy Bowl, and made 90 whatever the million, and it say,
look at me now. Look at me now. Oh.
What happens when fame fades, bridges burn, and a cry for help becomes the loudest sound in the room? The entertainment world just witnessed a moment that feels more like a movie than real life. Kelvin McCall, once a rising star and a close collaborator of Chris Brown, sat down for an emotional interview that left fans speechless. In tears, he admitted he was broke, struggling, and reaching out publicly for help. His plea? A simple request for $25,000 from Chris Brown, the man he once called his brother. The clip spread like wildfire across social media, with people divided. Some saw a man humbling himself, others saw pride swallowed too late. But while many expected Chris Brown to stay silent or respond with sympathy, he instead dropped an icy cryptic Instagram story that shook the internet. The post read, "Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one." That single message spoke louder than 1,000 interviews. It wasn't just a response, it was a statement. The kind that ends conversations and burns any remaining bridges to ashes. The timing, tone, and emoji said everything. Fans instantly connected it to Kevin's tearful interview, and the debate exploded online. Was Chris being heartless, or simply protecting himself from someone who had betrayed him?
Why the fuck I got an EBT card? And this is at Breezy Bowl, and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKKK Max. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card. Like, what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see me cry in here? So y'all can think I'm a bad. That's ain't fair.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey,
That's why.
hey. Look, bro.
I'm down, bro. I'm on EBT, smack, look. Say my name, bro.
Church, in so many words, Chris Brown told Kelvin McCall, I know you broke, but whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-damn-do. Now, for all of y'all that had lives and couldn't keep up, Kelvin McCall went viral for going on the Back on Fig podcast, boo-hoo crying, claiming that he's broke, he's been reduced to using an EBT card, and that Chris Brown owes him $25,000 for songs that he wrote for him back in the day. Well, Chris had a response for Kelvin. In his own words, remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. Now, why he called a man a troll? Well, I'll tell you. Kelvin was online as recently as this month insinuating.
And just when everyone thought the story was done, Young Thug entered the picture, volunteering to give Kevin the very $25,000 he asked for, even saying he believed Chris Brown would still give his share. The act of generosity flipped the entire narrative. This is Taspectrum West TV, and today we're diving deep into the burnt bridge drama, the tears, the tension, the Instagram post, and what Young Thug's unexpected move really means. Long before tears, Instagram posts, and viral debates, there was chemistry, undeniable, creative, and full of promise. When Chris Brown and Kelvin McCall first connected in the early 2010s, the R&B world was still buzzing from Chris's comeback wave. Kevin, a talented songwriter and producer, was a breath of fresh energy, a studio powerhouse who understood rhythm and melody in a way that matched Chris's natural flow. Together they made magic. Their collaboration on Deuces in 2010 wasn't just another single, it became an anthem. The song climbed the Billboard charts, earned Grammy attention, and announced Kelvin McCall as the new name to watch. In interviews back then, Chris called Kevin my brother in music. They recorded, toured, and posted pictures online like family. For fans, it was the perfect creative duo, one man with star power, the other with pen and production genius. But behind the success, small cracks were forming. Fame moves fast, and the music industry can turn brothers into rivals overnight. Kevin began speaking publicly about wanting more recognition and control. In one podcast, he hinted that he felt undercredited for his role in Deuces. Chris's camp, known for being tightly managed, didn't take that lightly.
That Chris and Bryson Tiller were in a romantic relationship, all because Bryson bought Chris a Lambo to celebrate the Breezy Bowl tour. And let us not forget those problematic messages from back in the day where Kevin threatened to put Chris and his child in a casket. You know everything on the internet lives forever, but I just don't know how in one breath you could be asking the man for $25,000 and in the other breath you trolling him. Like, in the eternal words of Dion Cole, pick a struggle. But Kevin, let me give you some good advice, okay? $25,000 is not your solution. You're gonna burn through that money like that. What you really need is good, stable income, all right? So whether that means you gotta dust off your pen and get to writing songs like Joe Jackson is your daddy, or get you a W-2 based job, get to doing it.
The friendship that once thrived on studio synergy slowly shifted into tension over royalties, publishing rights, and creative credit. Those disagreements are common in music, but here, ego and pride took center stage. Each man believed he was the one wrong. As years passed, Kevin's comments about Chris became sharper. He accused labels of freezing him out and implied that Chris played a role in it. On social media, he sometimes tagged Chris directly, mixing pain with provocation, one day asking for peace, the next day throwing shade. Chris, meanwhile, stayed mostly silent, a tactic that frustrated Kevin even more. By 2016, the two were no longer on speaking terms. Interviews that once featured shared laughter now carried bitterness. Kevin even released diss tracks aimed indirectly at Chris, calling him out for industry hypocrisy. For fans, it was disheartening to see creative brothers turn into public. What made their fallout unique was its emotional layer. Unlike typical rap beefs rooted in competition, this one felt personal, like watching best friends drift until they became strangers. And though years went by without reconciliation, fans kept hoping they'd one day make another record together. But time has a way of hardening hearts. While Chris Brown continued climbing charts, winning awards, and reinventing his image, Kelvin McCall's career slowed. He shifted from major label spaces to independent hustle, sometimes expressing resentment about how things turned out. The industry moved on, but the memory of their bond and its fiery collapse never quite faded. That's the history that sets the stage for the viral moment we're about to unpack. Without that foundation of brotherhood and betrayal, Chris's now infamous Instagram story, "You can't walk across a burnt bridge," wouldn't hit as hard as it did.
Look at me now. Look at me now.
I got an EBT card. And this is at Breezy Bowl and made 90 whatever the million. And it say KKKKK Mac. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like, what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see me crying here, so y'all can think I'm a bad. That ain't fair.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey,
That's why.
hey. Look, bro.
Calm down, bro.
I'm on EBT, straight. Look.
The early years of Chris Brown and Kelvin McCall's partnership were fueled not just by talent but by mutual admiration. Kevin, with his distinctive production style, had a knack for blending smooth melodies with edgy beats that complemented Chris's dynamic vocals. Chris, in turn, respected Kevin's ear for hits and often credited him with shaping some of the sound that defined his era. They were inseparable in the studio. Late nights spent perfecting hooks, experimenting with beats, and chasing chart success. Studio insiders recall that their sessions were electric. Kevin would bring rough tracks to the table, Chris would riff over them, and together they would turn a sketch into a polished single in a matter of hours. They celebrated small victories privately, finishing a beat that felt right, a vocal take that made both of them pause in awe, or a lyric that seemed to capture their collective genius. The camaraderie was real, almost brotherly, and it showed in interviews. Fans were drawn not only to the music but to the narrative of friendship behind it. However, as the fame escalated, so did the pressures. Kevin began noticing that his contributions were sometimes overlooked publicly. While Chris's star shone ever brighter on magazine covers, award shows, and major performances, Kevin was increasingly frustrated by what he felt was a lack of acknowledgement. It wasn't just ego, it was professional respect he believed he deserved. In an early podcast, he recounted feeling like the shadow of someone else's success, a comment that hinted at the growing tension beneath the surface. The song Deuces, which had cemented their partnership, became the focal point of debate. Kevin had co-written and co-produced the track, yet the spotlight remained on Chris as the face of the hit. Behind closed doors, Kevin had sought better royalty splits and more recognition in liner notes, but the corporate machinery surrounding Chris often pushed back. For Kevin, this was more than money, it was validation. By 2012, small disagreements started turning public. Kevin's social media posts became more pointed, hinting at disappointment and betrayal. Chris, known for managing his brand carefully, mostly remained silent, letting his actions speak for him. Yet silence has its own voice, and for Kevin, it was deafening. The dynamic shifted from collaborative respect to cautious distance, with trust eroding slowly over each missed call, unreturned message, and perceived slight in interviews. By mid-2014, cracks had widened into chasms. Kevin publicly admitted in interviews that he felt locked out of opportunities while Chris was busy reinventing his sound and persona. The once inseparable duo rarely appeared together, and each public appearance of one without the other added fuel to rumors of a feud. Fans speculated endlessly. Were they still friends? Was it a business fallout or personal? The ambiguity kept the narrative alive and created an emotional investment in every social media interaction between the two. As the years rolled on, the professional gap mirrored a personal one. Kevin's attempts to reconcile were met with guarded responses, while Chris continued to excel in global tours, collaborations, and chart-topping singles. In 2016, the situation reached a tipping point when Kevin released subtle diss tracks and interviews hinting that Chris had abandoned their shared vision. The world watched, some sympathized with Kevin, others sided with Chris, but everyone could see that the brotherhood that once defined them had dissolved into caution, hurt, and public scrutiny. This history, filled with late-night studio magic, mutual respect, creeping envy, and gradual estrangement, laid the groundwork for the viral moment that shocked fans worldwide. Chris's infamous Instagram post about burnt bridges, Kevin's tearful plea, and Young Thug's interjection are only fully understood against this backdrop of creative brilliance and personal betrayal. Without knowing the highs, the closeness, and the ultimate fallout, the gravity of the moment is lost. By 2015, the duo's story had become almost mythic among R&B and hip-hop fans. Interviews, social media posts, and behind-the-scenes glimpses painted a picture of both incredible talent and mounting tension. Kelvin McCall, in particular, began to voice his frustrations in ways that were both subtle and pointed. On Instagram, he shared photos from recording sessions with captions that seemed cryptic to the public. Phrases like "some bridges are meant to burn" and "money can't buy respect" were interpreted as veiled messages to Chris. Each post sparked discussion online. Fans debated endlessly about the state of their relationship and what really happened behind studio doors. Kevin's frustration was rooted not only in recognition but in creative control. In studio sessions, he often proposed ideas that he believed would elevate Chris's music, yet he sometimes felt overruled or sidelined by managers and label executives. While Chris trusted him professionally, Kevin felt the balance of power shifting over time. A particularly telling moment occurred during the production of the 2013 album X. Kevin had pitched multiple tracks he felt were hits, but many were shelved or reworked without his input. Chris himself supported Kevin's ideas privately, but public credits and promotion rarely reflected Kevin's influence. Adding to the strain, financial matters became a thorn in their friendship. Royalty disputes are common in the music industry, but for Kevin it was personal. He felt that his contributions were undervalued, while Chris, navigating the pressures of fame and media scrutiny, couldn't afford to publicly highlight every collaborator without seeming to dilute his own brand. It was a delicate dance, one that slowly fractured trust. In interviews years later, Kevin would hint at feeling frozen out by the very system he had helped navigate alongside Chris. Social media amplified every small conflict. The duo, who once posted studio selfies and tour photos like brothers, were now nearly invisible together online. Fans noticed the absence. Any tagged post, reply, or cryptic comment was analyzed, shared, and debated. The narrative of friendship turned fallout became a lens through which fans interpreted every move. Kevin's financial struggles, Chris's Instagram activity, even their mutual friends' interactions. This period solidified the emotional layer that would later make Kevin's tearful interview resonate so profoundly. The timing of Young Thug's action was also significant. Coming immediately after Chris's cryptic response, it created a new story arc, where before fans were consumed by tension, speculation, and heartbreak, the conversation now included hope, redemption, and the power of community. Kevin's emotional vulnerability was no longer just a spectacle, it became a catalyst for solidarity. Fans responded with overwhelming positivity. Tweets celebrated Young Thug's generosity, while posts encouraged others to support struggling artists behind the scenes. Even non-fans were drawn into the narrative, praising the idea that empathy can exist even amid fame, rivalry, and complex personal histories. The story began to transcend celebrity gossip, touching on universal themes of friendship, pride, and helping others in need. Yet, the intervention also reignited discussion about Chris Brown. Many questioned why Chris, despite years of collaboration and shared history, did not respond in a similar manner. Others defended him, arguing that public humility is not always a measure of personal loyalty or generosity, that perhaps some bridges once burnt cannot be crossed without consequence. Young Thug's involvement ultimately reframed the narrative in a profound way. What could have been remembered solely as a tale of humiliation and conflict was now a story of generosity, moral contrast, and human connection. It reminded fans that celebrity culture is multifaceted. One moment can evoke despair, while the next can inspire hope. This dramatic shift in public perception not only vindicated Kelvin McCall in the eyes of many, but also underscored the evolving dynamics of online celebrity culture. The story was no longer just about money or rivalry. It became a lesson in timing, empathy, and the unpredictable ways in which public figures can influence narratives. Then there were moments that showed the lingering bond even amidst tension. Sources close to the duo revealed that private calls still occurred, often mediated by managers. Chris reportedly reached out during personal hardships Kelvin faced, offering guidance or support behind the scenes. Kelvin in interviews acknowledged these moments but stressed the lack of public acknowledgement. This dynamic private support versus public silence created a push and pull that left fans guessing and fueled the emotional complexity of their relationship. By 2016, the tension became almost performative in the eyes of the public. Kevin's diss tracks and interviews hinted at betrayal, while Chris's silence was interpreted variously as indifference or a deliberate strategic move. Industry insiders described Chris's approach as protective, not out of malice, but to maintain control over his public narrative. Kelvin, on the other hand, was navigating both pride and desperation, a combination that ultimately led to the viral moment years later. Throughout this period, collaborations with other artists added layers to their story. Kelvin began branching out, working with emerging talent, while Chris continued major features and global tours. Each success or setback of one often reignited discussion about the other. Fans dissected lyrics, social media posts, and interviews for hidden references. The bridge between the two, once literal in their studio synergy, had become metaphorical. A structure once strong, now charred by ego, miscommunication, and unmet expectations. Perhaps what made their fallout especially compelling was its emotional resonance. This was not just a case of professional rivalry or financial dispute, it was personal. The world watched as two people who had shared dreams, long hours, and victories drifted apart. Unlike public feuds based solely on image or competition, this one carried weight because of its human dimension, pride, hurt, loyalty, and the bittersweet pain of seeing a bond unravel. By the time Kelvin went public with his tearful interview, fans already had context. They had witnessed years of subtle clues, posts, and interviews that hinted at unresolved grievances. Chris's Instagram post, the now famous cryptic message about burnt bridges, was not a standalone reaction. It was the culmination of years of silent tension, punctuated by private struggles and public speculation. And when Young Thug stepped in to offer support, it added yet another layer to a story that was already part industry drama, part human tragedy, and entirely captivating to the public eye. In retrospect, the history between Chris Brown and Kelvin McCall reads like a cautionary tale about fame, trust, and the fragile nature of professional and personal relationships in the music industry.
Fast, even catching Young Thug's attention, who said he'd send McCall $25,000 and added that he knows Chris would help too. Not long after, Chris appeared to respond on his Instagram story. Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. Now, the tension between the two actually goes back over 10 years. While it's unclear what started their fallout, they've exchanged words online multiple times through tweets and videos. So
And there you have it, the full story behind the burnt bridge drama. Kelvin McCall's tearful plea, Chris Brown's icy Instagram response, and Young Thug's surprising intervention that shifted the narrative entirely. From friendship and collaboration to tension, heartbreak, and generosity, this saga shows just how complicated relationships in the music industry can be, and how a single post or gesture can ignite global conversation. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe to Taspectrum West TV and hit the notification bell so you never miss the latest celebrity stories, drama breakdowns, and viral moments. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Do you side with Kelvin, Chris, or Young Thug? Let's get the conversation going.